Thank you, Manjesh. At the outset, I would like to thank all the esteemed panelists for accepting our invitation to join this discussion. Um, so, the severity, the seriousness of the topic that we are going to discuss, I just wanted to give you a, I would like to take you to past in early 1990s, 92, 93. My uncle was building a house, okay, and um, all of a sudden he's always clean shaven. All of a sudden, I found him with a beard and a big mustache. I asked him, "What happened to you?" He said, "I'm trying for a home loan. It's very difficult for me to get a home loan from nationalized banks. So I approached one director of a cooperative bank. So I wanted to impress him so that he gives me that home loan." Um, that was the situation in early 90s. And today we have, if you open your mobile application, you will find, forget about approval, loan dispersal would happen in 3 seconds. Okay. So that's the situation we are in now. So 3 seconds you will be able to get a loan of 18 lakh rupees. 18 lakh rupees is the, it all depends on your salary also. The more the salary, the more you become eligible. So that is a current situation we are in, and we have a police officer here. Day in, day out, he deals with a lot of police complaints where people come to him with a complaint stating that I received an SMS. Do you want a quick loan dispersal in 3 seconds? And I clicked on it. It asked for a few permissions, so I was so in need of money, so I gave permission to everything whatever they asked, and I got the funds also, and then my data also got compromised, and someone started sending me some pictures, my morphed pictures, to all my contacts. So I think that's the seriousness about the technology, the other side of the technology. While technology is offering a lot of benefits for us, and at the same time we get some add-on, free add-on. That's the problems. New technology, new benefits, plus new problems. So we have to live with it and we have to deal with it. So I would like to share a couple of news items before we actually begin our discussion. Why we have chosen this particular topic for this session. No problem, Anuj. Yeah. So investment scams, the recent operation by the Delhi police. So 500,000 Indians lose over 150 crore by investing through online applications. Multi-crore Chinese loan application fraud and extortion racket busted. And Mr. Sharath's supervision, Karnataka CID busts money laundering case involving power bank app. So Mr. Sharath was the investigating officer. That's where we somehow requested him to be part of this panel discussion so that you get that practitioner view. There's no point in talking about investigations when we don't have that hands-on experience. Whereas we have the divine horse with us. So let us hear from the horse mouth. Sextortion, I talked about the sextortion because the mobile applications, it's not only related to financial transactions or financial frauds, it also has a lot of relation with respect to persons' personal information. Their personal information is copied, and we have seen fake and obscene photographs are morphed, and they start blackmailing. So this is the whatever information that is available on the public domain, only those information I have shared. Before I pose some questions to the panelists, I would request the individual panelists to please share their insights, their perspective about the topic, that is fraud rackets and their masterminds. I would initially request Shri MD Sharath to please share his experience because his customers are the victims from all the three classes, lower, middle and high class. educated, uneducated, both. So, over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Venkatesh. Uh, yeah, it's a very tough scenario to be in as a law enforcement officer, to see how people come to us with the by losing a lot of money, not only that, even a reputation as well. Two different verticals which we are seeing here. Basically, the loan app frauds, whatever you have seen, this is a very, this only in power bank case, I believe it is more than 10,500 crores which has gone out of India through money laundering, through various means. So very small amount is what we are talking about. If you take the overall India scenario, it's huge. And we don't have practically rules coming in place to aid the police or to solve the problem. So probably what I am saying is we are not trying to solve the problem at any stage in time. We are trying to douse the fire. To give a small example, when IT Act was brought into place, Chapter 10 and 11 was with respect to police. So we are sitting in the last bench. Very good. Now, when the new things are coming up, not much frauds things have been included there also. But for example, you are looking at different aspects now. Now, ONDC is coming up. Your health stack is coming up. You are looking at credit democratization. So what are the consequences we will be facing with respect to credit democratization? God knows. So we'll be facing a lot more challenges in future. As the previous panel was also discussing with respect to health issues, health stack is coming up. So everything is going to get clubbed into one. So by click of one particular button in your mobile phone, all your data is gone to different stakeholders at a point in time. And can you withdraw your data? That's the question. Now, there are a couple of High Court judgments in Karnataka where the judgments to forget yourself from the internet is being implemented in certain cases only with respect to judgments, in case if they have been acquitted in a case. Now, should we apply the same principle with respect to the data whichever is got online now? So that's the question we need to ask ourselves. Now, with respect to the magnanimity of the problem, there's huge issues which are coming up. NBFCs are there. NBFCs are being piggybacked by some lending applications. So these lending applications are being developed elsewhere. So they are compromising your data. Your mobile phone is compromised. Your data is compromised. Your WhatsApp is compromised. And then all the data is going out. So when we raided a particular company in one of the loan app cases, we seized more than 5,000 laptops. We seized more than 10,000 mobile phones. So what happens when we analyze this data from these laptops and mobile phones? So it's all web-based application. You have a user ID and password. You log into the web application. You see so much sanity in the data, what they have captured and what needs to be done to a particular customer if he is not repaying the loan. So for example, the loan is given for a very short period of time, for example, 15 days. So who is going to regulate the interest rate? So I have a RBI guidelines, probably this is of August 10th of August. They say you mention about the rates, whatever you charge. So I can charge 100% interest rate, nobody is going to question me. Okay, so where is this interest rate getting charged and where it is going? So our investigation shows that it is going to multiple accounts. So it is coming from one channel, going to 3-4 different channels out. So then it is going to, now again the modus is changed. Now people understood that Government of India is literally breathing down their neck and blocking all the loan applications, and they have moved to the web applications. So everybody is moved to web applications. Now they are changing their MO to cryptocurrencies. So I give loans. So after the loan is reimbursed, I need to channel out the money somewhere else. So I ask people to get into the home-based job kind of thing. I ask them to trade in cryptocurrency. I give them a cut of 1%. So they will make profit. remaining monies, there's some mechanism of capturing the unique ID, placing it in the web application. The moment the unique ID is placed in the web application, all your cryptocurrency is transferred out of India. So it is taking a lot of Hawala route. Lot of cryptocurrencies are coming into picture, and investigation is getting very tough. We are not able to recover money and give preliminary justice to the victim wherever it is needed to be given. So with this backdrop, this, for example, we checked in 2019. This RBI's new regulation in August 2022. So 4 years almost, we don't have a regulation, and you just imagine the money which is gone out of India. That's one part of the story. The second part of the story is how many shell companies have been opened since the inception of COVID pandemic and other things. According to my estimate, partial estimate, which I don't know the complete figures, my analysis is more than 19,000 shell companies have been opened. And who are the owners of these companies? Sweepers, drivers, people who clean toilets. They are the directors of the companies. And who is the other person who is the director of the company? Person from outside of India who is managing. He is a sleeping partner, or a sleeping agent. Now, how should I close this company? If the police reports that this is a shell company, they are into money laundering, who is going to close the company? There is no entity in India to close the company. Now, what is MCA doing? MCA is only taking the complaints and saying that, yeah, there's a company and we'll investigate and we'll close after 5 years. By the time all the money is gone. So, lot of these issues are happening. It is getting very tough. And once the ONDC comes into picture, we are getting into more problems, and that's for sure. And when health stack is implemented, again, it is a culmination of a lot of other problems. So it will multiply in geometric proportions, probably. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Anuj.
So Sharath sir has already covered a lot of things. While the frauds and the scams are not new, right? See, it comes in different form factors out. From a typical investment indoor, I believe everybody receives a call, right? Saying that, are you interested in investments, or do you want to do trading? The majority of the issues in the last half a decade, I won't even say more than a decade out, half a decade out, so what we have seen is complete digitization in India, right? So you have so many digital identities. I'm not even talking about the official, the Aadhars and all of those. But you have your mobile numbers, you have so many digital footprints out, you have your emails, you have signed up for so many applications, you have given different kinds of data request approvals to different applications or uploaded various documents out. Typically, let's say if you were to go back in early 2000s out, people would collect mostly your PAN card from outside a railway bogie and say that, okay, I have gotten the PAN card of this person, and try to misuse that. Today, it is available a dime a dozen. You could go to official government dashboards, right? And there are certain governments where you could search the electoral dashboard by a name. You could get the entire identity of that person. I could use that identity on another platform to do a KYC. So while you might not be even aware, there is a company, there is an account, etc., that gets created under your name without your permission out. So the form factors that we had seen across, especially during COVID, was loan apps was one. Prior to this, it was the fake websites on which you had earned cashback. That is where it started from. Again, small value transactions turned out into loan apps, now turned into the job scam apps. Investment scheme, any which ways, continues to run money doubling scams, etc., through cryptocurrencies. So a lot of these things are happening. The biggest issue that I believe is we are still treating the symptom, not the root cause. Now, why do I say that is, while all of these investigations, right, you're trying to catch hold of these culprits. What are you systemically doing to prevent this from happening? The answer to that is most probably not everybody is even aware it needs to be solved for. You have multiple regulators across. So you have a financial regulator, you have the data regulators, you have investment regulators. Now, most of them may or may not talk to each other. And that is where your issue starts happening. So you have, in the last 1 year or so, what we had seen was a definite spike in Telegram-based channels for investment scheme advisories. Now the issue is that they are running on a social media channel. They are not even a registered investment advisory firm at all. They are taking money from a lot of firms. The ease of payments make it very easy to do that 100, 500 rupees payment per month. And that's what they're collecting. They run off. There is nothing to validate that against out. For the loan scams, effectively, you are looking at a merchant of a merchant of a merchant kind of a scenario. Where is the end money going? You don't even have a clarity around on. These masterminds who are running them are very, very organized. So what Sir was just talking about, we actually discovered it's a very, very organized racket in 3 phases. So there's a phase 1 where there are service providers, and they will put most of our service providers to shame in India, where you can have all kinds of onboarding as a service, right? KYC as a service, verification of X document, Y document, Z document, all of that is available via APIs. And most of these services, if you were to try to get legal access to them, not that easily accessible out. There's a second set of services which are payment gateways, which are unauthorized payment gateways. You have an entire setup, you can be up and running in less than, let's say, a day or so. They will charge you much higher than your normal payment gateways that you keep hearing about. They will charge you anywhere between a 2 to 5% bare minimum per transaction. And the reason for that is they are not even asking you to give any details out. They're saying, we will take a 5% cut. We will route the money through 15 accounts. You just tell us where is the final account you want the money in. You want the money in Tether. You want the money in Ethereum. You want the money in USD. You want it in INR. You specify the end source. We will take a percentage cut of it. And the third leg was effectively what Sir was just talking about, was the recovery. Right? That is where it is so well organized, where most of people don't even realize that they are doing actually harm to their own country, to their own people out, right? For the benefit of a few thousand rupees, they will take some of these jobs. They will basically access that data. The data is so well organized that most of our CRM tools are not doing enough jobs, right? Of cross-consolidating the data within our own platforms out. So across these systems, what we need to target for is how do we systemically go ahead and address the data concerns and the financial concerns out on how does this money move out.
Yeah, Mr. Dharshan.
Thanks, Anuj. I come from a different world than my 2 other esteemed panelists. We basically are a payment forensic investigator, largely investigating organizations which get compromised, which obviously in the digital payments world. If you were to trace back a couple of years, the kind of frauds that we used to see when, I used to be part of some of the raids, in other countries, it used to be around, card cloning. This was a one big racket. We used to have payments being done, card not present transactions being processed, and so on and so forth. This was a couple of years back, which essentially we used to call this a 3-leg process of a payment completion, which is processing, clearing, and settlement, which used to be T1, T+1, T+2. I'm sure bankers in the room would understand. And generally what would happen is that if you had a complaint, you would be able to reverse a transaction, at least benefiting the end consumer. So it used to be the institutions which used to take a hit. And not against any of the new digital payments, because I was also part of the new digital payment creation. It is now instant payment, instant processing, instant clearing, instant settlement, right? As our friend said, the loans are being done, except that the beard comes after your funds are cleared from your bank account, not before that. But largely, now it's all about immediate wipe off of your bank balance. And law enforcement has challenges because obviously the settlement is done, and it's cross-border transactions. Money is withdrawn from foreign countries. We have had investigations where money has been actually laundered from outside the country. So it's very difficult jurisdictional challenges. And with new technologies like the cryptocurrencies and CBDC, whole lot of payment form factors coming into picture, this is going to be really, really interesting. But one other thing that I would want to just add, not to take too much of time here, is one of the other trends we are seeing is earlier frauds, sensitive data, especially in the payments world, people used to, used to steal real sensitive data, right? For example, card numbers, CVV2, track data, so on and so forth. That used to be the real sensitive data. But what we are trying to see now is organizations are being targeted, and for periphery data, which is non-personal information, and using that non-personal information, then they target end consumers. So as to say, for example, that you transacted on this application at this point in time, and we are trying to get more clarity, we are trying to re-authenticate that transaction, and hence, keep the targeting the end customer to compromise other sensitive data like PIN, OTP, so on and so forth. And this is where it's a unique, we were all this while focused on businesses, their data exposure. But now it's suddenly becoming a consumer game, because you've got, say, a 10 million user base of data, sensitive history of their transactions. And using that transaction history, then you go behind the end consumers, who are the beneficiaries, and make these frauds happen through a very organized crime, like the way Anuj said. There are organizations which, well organized, professionally driven, proper hierarchical, organized, who then use this data to target end users to compromise data, or to compromise their accounts, and very systematically, with a lot of precision and very, very organized manner. So I think, and this complicates the entire case for law enforcement, for any investigation organization as well, as to how to reconstruct and what do you constitute a breach at this point in time. Because the organization that is being compromised is actually being breached for a non-personal information, which they may not even know that that's been important. And some of which might be giving off very easily, like the way we all give away our mobile numbers to every restaurant we check in. So you really do not know whether this information is really important, and that information is being misused prohibitously. Yeah, so those are my comments.
Yeah, Ashish.
Yeah, I mean, just to add, I mean, we all know the kind of fraudsters that we are dealing with. These are tech-savvy people. I mean, we've had sessions before this, and very specialized on what they're doing. It is, from an investigator point of view, the biggest problem that I see is, a complete reliance on investigators. I mean, forensic investigators. But when you look at the bigger picture, as what Sharath sir mentioned here, that it's not just so these people getting access to your contacts, to your personal images, your gallery, and a lot of content that's there on your devices, be it your PC, your mobile phones, cloud. So and then again, the volume of evidence that we are looking at, along with the shell companies we're talking about. So it's not just during an investigation. It's not just the focus. Has to be on the broader investigation, where we have collaboration with people who have expertise in multimedia on analyzing if there are morphed pictures there. The focus has to also be on investigating the financial documents, the financial records. You cannot expect a forensic investigator to basically understand the financial. If I talk from my experience, I mean, if I don't have an accounting background, so investigating something which relates to finance, I would probably overlook that. So we need a lot of collaboration here. I mean, you in any kind of investigations, there has to be less reliance. I mean, of course, the reliance is on data extraction, analysis, but the focus should also be on collaboration with industry experts. Anuj here, Dharshan here. I mean, they've been doing services. So it's, I think, one aspect of somebody who comes from an OEM who are basically developing tools, helping law enforcement and corporate investigate these kind of crimes. So I say, I mean, it's not just something that that is focused on investigating just one kind of or one particular kind of data. It's kind of a holistic investigation that we need to look into.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing your views. So my question to Mr. Sharath, as per the media reports, when I talk particularly about Telangana state, it was reported that within a week there were 5 suicides allegedly linked to harassments by the whoever has lended the loan. There were 5 suicides within a week, and there are a couple of other instances also reported in other states. So, as a police officer, how do you look at this new trend? I'm sure that with the COVID-19, I think it has contributed significantly in people availing or people looking for some instant loans. But from law enforcement point of view, what is your take on this latest trend?
Sorry. Yeah, it's very disturbing. Yeah, Telangana has seen around 5 to 9 suicide cases. Karnataka, there are a couple of them. When I was in charge of cybercrime, I averted one. It's a very disturbing trend, sure shot. But dealing with this is very complicated because it should be a multi-agency approach. And it is not one state which is running into this trouble. Everywhere, all across India, pan-India. And we had to literally push certain agencies to take over the cases. For example, in the case which we were investigating, they were so powerful enough that all including me and my investigating officers, they filed case against me. Even now it has been pending before the High Court and we have not come out of it. So that much inflow of funds is there for them, and they can go to any extent for that. And very important aspect is that we had to push certain agencies to take up the investigation. For example, we had to request income tax, we had to request ED, we had to request other agencies to look into the credibility and credentials. Whatever you have read in the newspaper reports, just a couple of days back, Oppo was raided, Vivo was raided, and they were also under the radar. But unfortunately, it required a multi-agency approach to identify how there's huge layering. In money laundering, we call it layering, and multiple accounts are involved, and tracking it requires a lot of time, effort, patience, and analysis is required. So for a law enforcement agency, it's very difficult to grapple with these kind of things. And moreover, once you stop a particular, we have also seen, as Anuj told, they open fake payment gateways. We have seen cases where a payment gateway piggybacks on a established payment gateway. So those cases also we have seen. We have also seen that the cases where bank accounts, for example, as he told, I'll give a small example, how fake accounts are opened. I download, I have a PAN card with me. I go to a different website. We had to pull up one particular bank. I won't take up the name. I take the name. He used to have a PAN card. He used to go to a GSTN website. He used to search for the similar name. So the same name was given there, and the PAN card used to match. So there is no number verification, only the name verification. So once the name is verified, a parallel account is being created of the victim, and huge money laundering was seen. So we had to pull up those guys, we have to give them certain SOPs, and we have to make them implement the SOP within 10 days. And day before yesterday, I was having a discussion with the same risk officer. He told after that, this thing, more than 70% reduction in fraud was seen. But unfortunately, they got a different banking license, and current accounts are getting opened, and huge spike in the frauds in those particular cases are also seen. Now, the slight shift in virtual accounts, from virtual accounts to cryptocurrency trading, from cryptocurrency trading, it's again going with a different tangent altogether. So, lot of issues needs to be understood, very difficult, and even today people are suffering because of this. Even now, as I speak, probably more than 10-15 complaints are getting registered across Karnataka in a minute, if I want to say. And many people may ignore, may switch off the mobile phone. And even in these cases, for example, wherever you have shared, I have seen cases. I have practically seen cases where if I have shared my PAN card and Aadhaar card with somebody, they give, for example, if I want a loan, I give that PAN card and Aadhaar card number. So you have not taken the loan, but somebody else in your name has already taken the loan, and they start harassing you. With the same mobile number and whatsoever. We have seen the same, for example, I don't know if you have read yesterday's or today's Times of India newspaper, BESCOM electricity bill payment cases, which you are seeing today, works on the same model, same analogy. So it's very difficult. You don't know. You need to be, your antennas need to be upright, working all the time to see if you are not involved anywhere else. So don't know where things are coming back to you from different quarters.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Mr. Anuj, it's a universally accepted fact that frauds cannot be prevented only having the legal measures or policy controls, and at the same time technology controls alone would not be sufficient to prevent any fraud. So there should be a blend, but nobody knows what should be the composition, whether it is 80% coffee, 20% chicory. We don't know what is the composition. So whenever we try to secure our applications, especially the financial transactions, the user experience, the user convenience, that would suffer significantly. So in your experience, what should be the best practices that should be followed by the industry to prevent any such malicious activities online?
Sure. So this is actually pretty pertinent, right? Most of the companies, the first casualty is always that, hey, this is going to slow down my growth. Let's not do something. If you start doing a multi-factor authentication, if you start doing, let's say, a lot more question and answers, you will get pushed back. Rightfully so, because the company in a growth path would want to grow. It is not about saying that I'll make the best and the most secure app and then I will have 5 transactions, right? So those companies will perish over a period of time. What we have found as a formula that works out really well, and like to classify this into 3 distinct approaches, right? So there is reactive, which is your law enforcement to things which have actually gone wrong. That's the experience part of things. There is active, which a company needs to get involved, and then there's a proactive part. Now, why do I differentiate between these 3, right? If you were to look at it as an individual, most probably, if I want to target you, the answer is you could do very, very less things to say that I will not be targeted. As what was just been mentioned, that somebody else might be using your card. You might not be even aware of it. Somebody might take a loan on your Aadhaar card, etc. So there are some best practices that you can do. Therefore, the onus falls onto the companies and to the regulators and to the law enforcement, right? The trioca of these 3 have to work together. How can we work together? When you are, the first is and the foremost is the reactive part. Things eventually will go wrong. Have a much better experience around how should your customers react to it. What should be their next steps around? Let's say if they have to reach out to law enforcement, what is the easiest way for them to reach out? It is a painful journey. It is about filing a complaint, losing the money, all of those things happening. Make that journey easier. The active part of it, most of the companies now need to start looking inward. Often the companies actually react to a fact that, hey, there is a regulation, I need to comply to some X regulation, and hence we are doing it. The frauds and the instant digitization, the instant loans, 3 seconds, etc. kind of experience, money is moving instantaneously. Your detection systems also need to be real time. You cannot afford to say that I will prepare a file, review it at the end of the day. By that time, the money has moved, everything has moved out, you won't be able to do anything. The third is basically setting up a proactive approach. Now, proactive approach would be an industry-led approach. where you are working both with the regulator as well as with your industry partners. Unfortunately, what's a very well-known fact is the fraudsters collaborate much better than we as an industry together, right? We won't come together to share the best practices. It's not about sharing of data. It's not about sharing of my secret sauce, but we need to be at a level where we are comfortable enough to share the best practices out. Build some of those things such as negative databases out. Build some of those things such as, let's say, the CyberSafe or the National Cybercrime Portal. How can you collaborate towards that? So I believe those are the overall journey points for from a consumer experience to a company. How do you safeguard this?
Yeah, thank you. So my question for Dharshan, the top 5 forensics driven learnings, the report which you have started releasing it from last 2-3 years, it has gained very good traction for almost 3 years, I think.
That's right, yeah.
So the recent one, 2022, which was released sometime back, a few months before, I think it would be beneficial for the audience here if you can share the top 5 learnings when it comes to forensics.
Sure. So, so just to build on what Anuj just said, so one of our focus area is how do enterprises, the school of thought is that the less the burden on the end consumer, the more the solution can be, because it's obviously the attacks, to protect all the consumers, it's a lot easier to do it if you are able to nip it at the source rather than at the end consumer. How much ever you educate, and that should be done, there's no doubt about education, but our focus is on the enterprises. So the enterprises, the way we have, based on our investigations, we've kind of focused on, one is to one of the key things is, many people say, can you reduce the attack surface? The answer is maybe not, because obviously the attack surface is pretty wide for an organization at this point in time. I mean, rolling back to what I said earlier, that you can compromise the transaction history of a particular customer can be a lot more easily got, and that can be used to do various kinds of other activities, criminal activities. So now the best way to do that is to reduce your data footprint across your enterprise, and so obviously you need to consolidate. You need to make sure that the data is kept secure, and so on and so forth. The second, of course, is we talk about having a proper detection and response mechanism with we spoke about, I think, security consolidation in the morning today. It makes a lot of sense to also have a single pane of glass view across your enterprise in terms of what an organization should be doing, or rather your security posture, and also making sure that your data is, where the data is, and it's easier said than done, because you always have some clever person taking a copy of the data just in case that system goes down, right? And of course, and third is, so it's all about access and so on and so forth. So I don't want to get into the nitty-gritties. I'm sure the copy of the report is available, but in the larger context of what we are talking today, I think just to build from what the companies can do to protect, payment companies can do in order to protect their consumers is, I'm sure some of them are doing, which is the device fingerprinting, which they can fingerprint the device so that they have a little more protection. They can also have a lot of a lot of companies have used a lot of analytics in the back end to make sure that behaviors are mapped, and the only way to beat these kind of new technology frauds is to have better technology in the back end, which is whatever our machine learning algorithms and behavioral analytics, so on and so forth. So overall, I feel that the owners should move to companies which actually provide these services. Of course, I'm not getting into the fraud applications. I mean, there as well, I think there's a lot of things that can be done in terms of brand monitoring. Organizations can track, because obviously there are so many applications which are going on Google Play Store and Apple and so on and so forth. So obviously they need to take down all those fraud applications. I'm not sure how many of them are actively making sure that those are taken down. And I agree with what Anuj and Sharath just said. I think there's a lot of regulatory push that we all as a community need to bring in to govern this. Otherwise, it's very difficult to push it down to the consumer. And I mean, I'm not saying that we should not try that, but that continues to happen. But we should go as upstream as possible to address this challenge.
Yeah, thank you. So for Mr. Ashish, we have a practice in the industry whenever any cybersecurity breach incident takes place where data is exfiltrated, we always try to quantify. We will so many users, we try to equate with some few $1,000s. But every data breach, we would never know what the criminal would be doing with the data. For instance, the famous Ashley Madison data breach. So there were suicides once they disclosed the users of that website. If you refer to the tagline of Ashley Madison, they say that life is short, I have an affair. So many people who were part of that member base, their data got exposed, and it's not always the data can be quantified with few hundreds or few thousands of dollars. We have seen the fraudsters who operate those fake and fraudulent web applications, mobile applications, invading the privacy of the individual because they try to gain access to the personal information. So Ashish, you representing the forensic product company, what is your experience? How good, how supportive are the forensic products in the market? I'm not suggesting to restrict only to your company, but in general, the digital forensic market, how better they are when it comes to assisting the police in handling those privacy breach incidents.
Yeah, I think it's more of an approach-based investigation, because I wouldn't say, I mean, you rightly said that I don't have to focus on the tools that we offer, but based on my experience, I mean, being in the industry for 11 years, I feel that it's painful to see that it's not just, I mean, the direct impact is always on the victims, but the people they're involved with, the organization they're involved with becomes collateral damage. So basically, when it comes to any forensic investigators, I'll take a small example of a recent investigation that I was working on. Investigators using our tools or all the toolkit approach. So it is for us to, from a forensic investigator point of view, being up to date. I mean, it's something that's very easy to say, but we need to know what kind of applications are being used. I mean, if I give you a simple example, so there was this recent investigations where we were too much focused on where we could find what we need to see on applications like WhatsApp, Telegram. So basically, you're looking at the communication, but these people that we are talking about, they're smart, and they are evolving. It's amazing to see how they find loopholes and how quickly they're exploiting this. So these people were using a UPI app to basically chat, and none of the forensic tool could identify that. Now it's not just about a toolkit approach. You need to also involve. You can never rule out the manual intervention. So these kind of getting a toolkit where you not only see what's being extracted, but also to see, or a tool which gives you an indication that okay, these are the databases which are available on the devices, but we cannot extract this. So we need that kind of approach where there are tools to help you extract data from dynamic apps or new apps, because like Sharath sir mentioned, I mean, there are hundreds of apps coming in every day. I mean, people are, just you shut down one application, they'll just come back with another one. So from an investigator point of view, it is important that we need to focus on pre-assessment on what we are working on, along with automation, I would say, because with the gap between the supply and demand of skilled manpower in this domain, it's important to basically identify what kind of automation you should have in place, so that all the repetitive tasks that we do as an investigator can be left on on these tools, and then we focus on analysis and reporting part.
Yeah, thank you. So I think in the interest of time, should we go for one question? Please. Mike, please. Anyways, the panelists would be here. You can network with them if you have some specific questions.
Yeah, this is Anil from NO Foundation, quite different from all of you. There's an extended producer responsibility. If something happens in plastic industry, unlike in digital payments, I think you should take some ownership on it and do it. If you look at any kind of fraud that is happening, be it marriage fraud, be it loan app fraud, or e-commerce, KYC, investment, anything, the root cause is the digital payment. I mean, I'm not against it. I came all the way to Bangalore. I've been here for that, I think 49 hours. I've not spent a single rupee coin. Everything is digital. So how do we take responsibility? It's not carrying giving one banana in a hospital, or doing a 10K run doesn't solve. What is that the platforms are taking responsibility? Because we have a lot of pains. For example, if you get the loan app, we were the first to file the PI at Supreme Court in January 12th. So I put in 37 FIRs. I put in 89 GB of videos and there were around about 21 suicide cases that have happened already. And I've included RBI, I've included Aadhaar. I included RBI because how did they allow third party to actually transact? I included Aadhaar. How did unscrupulous agents able to verify my data? But simply if I verify, they'll tell me who has verified. Aadhaar doesn't tell that. So I included DOT. How many telephone numbers can be given per person? So I've included all these people and also applied for a PIL. And Supreme Court told me back that it is multiple payers. Of course, I'm not from Khans and Johars, so probably they didn't reply. But even if you look at, sir, I respect, I've heard a lot about you. We are Asia's only non-profit organization who work on ethics, safety, and well-being. We have, if you look at the compliance is also very weak. Citizen Financial Fraud Management System or cybercrime portal or 1930, we have to run pillar to post to get. And by the time he complains or 1930, he gets a petition, he goes to the local police station that he doesn't understand a dam or whatever it is, and he ends up not going. So the compliance is also very weak. If you look at your IT Act, your new Digital Media Ethics Code, it is like toothless. It can only bark but cannot bite. So where are we going? Where are we heading? We are talking about great technologies, we are talking about in terms of lives being saved, but what is about so many? In the past, somebody has to forge a check, somebody has to go and break a safe. It is not like that today. One second, your reputation is lost. For example, in the loan fraud, as you said, the photograph is marked and kept. It is not just kept, it is distributed to everybody. How is the platform providers taking?
Can we have a response, please?
There are two questions. One from compliance. I do agree, thieves get together very fast, but why not DSCI become a platform where everybody comes together and bring a social good solution? Yes, I do agree, digitalization is very important, but sometimes technology is becoming a threat multiplier. So I would like to have both of your thoughts on this.
Yeah, with respect to policy as such, you don't have a hit and delete button to say you withdraw all your documents, whatever you have given in multiple platforms. So, as you are aware, in the Parliament session, what has happened and what has happened to the data protection bill. So, it has gone for reconsideration on various grounds, and because of the upcoming technology which you see ONDC and health stack and other multiple things. We actually we try to collaborate with each other to bring all the stakeholders together and do something for the society where we wanted to do a preemptive attack and see we can stop things at certain point in time. And it is very difficult to put all the frogs in one particular basket. It's impossible. So I had a hard time. He explains it better. So how we try to collaborate, nothing was happening because multiple stakeholders and nobody wants to take responsibility. And still it's in the progressive stage. They are working on the data protection bill. I don't know where it is going, and it's a very tough one.
Yeah, I think the panelists for next session, they are here. You want to share?
Yeah, just 2 points around on this one. while the tunnel is dark, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. Most of these initiatives, the National Cybercrime Helpline, the CyberSafe, and centralized database, some of them are still work in progress. Hopefully, and there are a few of us who are actually worried about this. So yes, it is a platform's responsibility as well, because I'm not going to put it solely on customer, right, that they did something wrong out. It is for each of us to play our part.
I've interacted with over 100 people, sir, in public policy and trust and safety. You are the first person to accept that it is our problem. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much. I would once again like to thank all the panelists for sharing their insights, and also I would like to thank the audience for their presence. Thank you so much.